Woo. Okay, hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I want to teach you how to do a backflip on grass without a spotter on your own. Now, that being said, there are different ways of doing backflips, and this is not necessarily the best way to do one, but you won't find a better way out there if you're looking to just learn how to do one on the grass, like I said, without a spotter on your own. Now, that being said, again, I would recommend using mats if you have them, using a spotter. Next of all, you're gonna need a little bit of athleticism to do this. You're gonna need a bit of balls to do it as well. Now I'm gonna show you 5 different stages on how to get from 0 to backflip. When I was 12, it took me about 2 weeks. I was a bit of a mad child to progressively go through these stages from 0 to backflip. And eventually I did it. And like I said, you need to be brave. And if there's one piece of advice that I can give you, is to commit to every movement that you go for when you are learning how to do a backflip, because the last thing you want to do is pull out and for something bad to happen, like breaking your neck. So I'm going to teach you a bit more of a messy backflip, but it's the best way to get to it on your own, like I was saying with grass, and it looks a little bit like this. So that is not the best way to do a backflip. So on that last one, I was a little bit laid back, not very high, not the best mechanics for a backflip in comparison to something like this, which is what I urge you to do and learn how to do once you've gone through this process to refine your backflip and get better at doing them. So going more up into the air like this. Now you're probably wondering why I keep saying this isn't the best way to learn a backflip. So why are you teaching it to me, Koo? Well, I'll tell you why. So this way you get to use your hands quite a lot, and you learn how to do a back handspring. So one of these. You learn how to do one of those before you go into an actual backflip without your hands. And getting to that point, you basically know how to use your hands to save you. If you're upside down at any point in a backflip, and for some reason you're like, probably not going to make it round, you've learnt, you've gone through the motions of how to put your hands down to save yourself, as I just did there with that back handspring, if something does go wrong. So without further ado, let's stop talking, let's get into it. So stage 1 of this, simple. It's just to be going back onto your hand, like so. Just getting used to that. And that's pretty much it. That's how simple stage 1 is. So I'll go to stage 2 now, to the end of stage 2, which is basically this. Now, we obviously can't go straight into that. So you want to transition from something like this, as I showed you at the start, to something like this. And as you start to get a feel for that, start to get better at it, you can start going more to the side, like this. And then you start getting more and more backwards, like this. And that's pretty much stage 2 done. Now, to transition to stage 3, we need to turn that into a two-handed work of art, if you will. So instead of being one hand and going back, we're gonna go 2 hands. So the end of stage 3 would look something like this. Now, to transition from stage 2 to stage 3, you want to start going something like that. So a small version of it. And then you want to start jumping into it. And that's pretty much the end of stage 3. You want to start getting that more and more backwards to almost complete that stage 3, something like this. Now, we're getting tasty. We're getting tasty now. Let's go on to stage 4. So stage 4 is essentially going to be culminated with a back handspring like I did earlier. So one of these. Now, to get from stage 3 to the end of stage 4, which I just showed you there, you're essentially just going to be going more and more backwards. So you might start off like this. You might get to a midpoint of somewhere like this. Maybe 3/4 of the way to that end of stage 4. Might look something like this. And then you keep doing that, you keep doing that. This doesn't take minutes, this doesn't take hours. This is gonna take you at least days to start to master. Now, it depends obviously on your ability, depends on your raw talent, depends on your athleticism, depends on how afraid you are, depends on a lot of things. So eventually, by some point, you're gonna be into that back handspring. And then we have stage 5. Oh baby, we're getting on to stage 5. So stage 5 is gonna be the backflip with no hands. It's gonna be a bit of a messy looking backflip, but that's fine. You're just learning, you haven't got anyone here to help you. If you do, even better, you have someone to spot you with their hands. You'll have a mat for crash landing, but if you don't, that's fine. Now, how do you transition from that stage 4 to that stage 5? So that's gonna look something like this. So you've mastered the back handspring going straight back. Now what you want to start doing is trying to get into a position where you're not putting too much pressure on your hands and you're almost getting around. You're getting better at like not having your hands there. So something like this. So if you saw there, I put my hands down a bit late, I jumped a bit higher. You might end up like landing on your knees a few times, maybe hands and knees, something like this. But eventually, you'll get to the point, again, it's gonna take some days, maybe weeks, maybe even months. But eventually you'll get to the point where you'll land a messy looking backflip like this with no hands. Lost my mic there. And that's it, you've done a backflip. It may have looked like shit, but you would have done a backflip. Now, let me give you some tips. Let me give you some tips and some little drills that are gonna help you get into the mode of a backflip, if you will. Also to transition between these stages. So, things like putting your hands up and back slightly. Now, all you backflip gurus are gonna say, oh, well, you need to have your head forward, your hands up. Yes, but if you're doing this method, again, with no one to help you, up and back slightly to almost get into that handspring position. Another drill that's helpful is just up and knees up. So jumping up, getting your knees up into the air. So up and then pulling your knees in. Another little drill that can be nice to do is on your back. And then just going back and rolling over. Don't know if you heard that, blocked my microphone. Another thing you can do is hands up, lean back, fall back, and roll around like that. So those are a few little drills for you to try. Now that video may seem slightly simplified to you, but the reality of it is, anyone that overthinks a backflip, I've seen it in like gymnastics training, like the people that take forever to get a backflip, and some of them just never get it, are the people that just keep overthinking the same drills over and over, keep trying to do the same thing over and over and not progressing to another stage. At some point, you have to just grow a pair of balls and go for it, okay? Now, if you don't feel safe doing that, then don't do it. You have to believe in yourself, you have to trust yourself. Like, that's probably the best piece of advice I can give you is don't dwell on one stage. Don't wait until you're ready. If you've been doing the same thing for about 2 months, I mean, if you've been doing the same thing for 2 months, then you're avoiding it. It's a mental problem, it's not a physical problem, okay? Now, let me just give you a few tips for refining that awful backflip that I showed you at the end. So once you get good, once you get like comfortable with doing that finished backflip, that finished product, the end of stage 5 that I showed you, you're gonna want to start learning how to get more of a back tuck, like a jump up into the air, get more height in your backflip, make it more clean, because what I showed you was more of a layout backflip. So what you want to get good at is going up into the air, jumping up. So getting rid of that kind of laid out position, okay? So you want to start going up, hands reaching up into the air, let the hands bring you up. Wait a second, you have to wait. Now this is only when you're getting good, but eventually you want to start practicing it. So jumping up, wait, tuck your legs up, in, grab them, pull them in towards you, hard as you can, and you should rotate around. So I'll show you one of those to finish off. And that's it. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you found it helpful. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to my channel. Please give my video a like. Give me a comment. Tell me what you thought of my video. And until next Monday, when I will be back with another video, goodbye and good luck.